all businesses in some ways, to Jim's kind of opening point, will be impacted by some of this. And I think it's up to us to find those businesses. Chipotle, right? Like, so they're shifting away from Mexican avocados to other spots, right? But they still sell a lot of Mexican avocados, but do they have the pricing? Sorry, they don't sell. They use a lot of Mexican avocados. Are people still willing to pay an additional, I think in the US now, additional avocado at Chipotle costs maybe $2, $2.50. We get the vegetarian option, so it comes with it. Are we willing to pay $3 or $3.50, $3.25 if they pass that on? Or are they efficient enough to be able to manage and take some of those prices in? I think some of those really large scale retailers have been continuing to refine their supply chain, and they have the scale to be able to manage some, 25% is a lot, but how does it all work with whatever goods and all the details in that, to what that impacts them, to be able to say, okay, we can take some of this on, we may pass a little bit on, but they have the ability to be able to operate in an environment that is like this now, whether it lasts a week or whether it lasts, 6 months or a year, whatever it might be. Hopefully it's not super long. So trying to find those companies that are the resilient, right? Like, and Jim, I think Shopify is one of those companies. MercadoLibre, by the way, that was a great quarter. Their financing arm, and we've talked about this before, right? Like how much more they are adding and what kinds of loans they're adding onto their books, how that is helping their profitability. What is their loan? How is their reserve rate changing? Like that is an interesting dynamic to watch with MercadoLibre. But yeah, that was a continued impressive performance, and they are the clear market leaders in Latin America. I think that has, and by the way, they're building out the logistics business, which continues to be impressive. That has real scale. And so depending, how any price increase, and God, no one knows more about dealing with inflation than MercadoLibre does.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. So
no,
just
professionals.
managing those costs, that's the kind of businesses that we're looking for. So there's so many great questions in here. Like, what kind of businesses are we trying to find? You're right, Tim. It's the ones that have, for me at least, it's the ones that have every business. If this goes on, businesses are going to struggle with this. I'm trying to find the businesses that are resilient enough on the pricing side that they can manage this environment, and the stock over the next 5 years is going to be a lot higher than where it is today.
I will say, like, there's a principle, and there's an economic principle that really applies here, and I think it's useful in your analysis in looking for businesses. The ones that have this feature, I think, are likely to be more resilient and more likely to deliver growth in an environment where, let's say, inflation does kick in. Let's say, prices really start soaring in some particular industries. The businesses that have real price elasticity, I think, will be in better position. So in this case, what I mean by price elasticity, that's a little different from just straight pricing. Pricing power, classically understood, is the ability to raise prices. Price elasticity means that even if I want to your point, Andy, if I have some slack in my supply chain and I want to not increase prices as much as, let's say, my input costs have come up, let's say 15%, but because of the strength of my supply chain, I really only need to raise prices by 10%.
Right.
That's price elasticity. That gives you some flexibility and some power that another business might not have. And I do think premium brands tend to have this more than others do. So there was a question about, is this a time for premium brands? And I think the answer is, it depends on the premium brand, as like it always depends on everything in context. But generally, is that a place I'd go looking? Yes.